With Republican strategist, former Ted Cruz communications director and CNN political commentator Alice Stewart, and Maria Cardona, Democratic strategist and CNN political commentator as well. They are the co-hosts of the podcast Hot Mics from Left to Right. Ladies, welcome back.
Hi, Victor. Good morning, Victor.
So, Maria, let's start right there with the Democrats and some of the divisions we're seeing within the party, the breadth of the party. Politico published this really good piece about Michigan Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin, moderate Democrat. Trump won her district in 2016 and in this year as well. She will not vote for a fourth term for Nancy Pelosi as Speaker. Didn't do it in 2019 either. 15 Democrats ultimately did not. Do you think that Nancy Pelosi's speakership is in jeopardy?
I don't think it is at this moment, Victor. Look, I think moving forward, what President-elect and Vice President-elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are going to need in the Congress is somebody with a depth and breadth of knowledge and experience and talent like Nancy Pelosi. They are going to really have to put together a strong coalition in the House, as well as try to convince enough senators. And hopefully, if we get the Georgia Senate seats, it will be a lot easier. But you're going to need the talents that Nancy Pelosi brings to the table, the fact that she can really pull together the Democrats and keep them unified in a way that I don't think we've seen anybody else be able to do in recent history. Now, will she get reelected? I don't know. I think she will. I think she still has tremendous support from all corners of the House of Representatives. And again, the challenges ahead for the Democrats are daunting. And I don't think there is no one that is better positioned to meet those challenges and help Joe Biden and Kamala Harris than Nancy Pelosi.
Alice, let me get your take on that from the perspective of, we know the Republicans had their share of intra-party fights, most recently with the Freedom Caucus and the tax bill of 2017, trying to repeal health care. What do you think?
Right. Look, we just look at recent history, Victor, and the Democrats lost seats in the House. And we heard from many of their own mouths that it was in large part due to the progressive policies that they were told to tout. Specifically meaning defund the police, Medicare for all, Green New Deal, and a lot of the far left policies that might work in the AOC district and those in the squad, but it's not a good template for across this country. And what someone really needs to do is sit them down and say, you might be the wind in our sails, but you are not driving the ship. And if Joe Biden and certainly Nancy Pelosi want to make sure that they continue to hold the House and possibly pick up these seats in Georgia in the Senate, which I don't think, they need to make sure that at least for now they need to hold their fire with regard to the progressives trying to continue to shove their far left policies down Joe Biden's throat and America's throat, because it doesn't work everywhere. It works in some districts, but it's not a one-size-fits-all policy that works across this country.
Alice, let me stay with you. Is it time to begin the transition?
I think so, yes. Look, we can look at the reality. Right, the numbers. Joe Biden has 306 electoral college votes. Donald Trump is far behind. And from the numbers standpoint, I don't see them changing no matter how many times we recount. But I think at the same time, it's important if this president wants to make sure that every vote is counted and make sure that it is legal and make sure that it is legitimate, I see no problem whatsoever in verifying the validity of these votes and making sure ballot integrity is intact.
Is that what he's doing, really? I mean, if you look at his Twitter account, Alice, he's saying that if there are any questions in some states, move them immediately to the Trump win category. That doesn't sound like someone who's trying to validate the votes or to make sure that every legal vote's counted. This sounds like someone who wants to overturn an election.
Well, that's not going to happen given the sheer margins, Victor. Joe Biden is won by tens of thousands in these states. It's not going to happen. I'm a firm believer in the integrity of our election process. We need to let this play out. But we can also acknowledge that President-elect Joe Biden is the president-elect, and he needs to be able to get the information. He needs to be able to get the funds and resources in order to begin that transition process. And I see there's no time like the present for that to happen.
Maria, the president-elect said of the presidential daily briefings, which if he were to begin this transition as ordered by GSA, he would get, He said this week on Tuesday, access to classified information is useful, but I'm not in a position to make any decisions on these issues anyway. It would be nice to have, but it is not critical. If he says it's not critical, is it urgent that he gets that transition at the beginning for those briefings?
I do think that it's critical for him to get, but he's right. It's not like he can do anything about it right now. I think what he was doing, Victor, is to allow for everyone to calm down, to take a breath. This is what he does best, especially at this moment in time when tensions are at their highest. But look, I think even senators on the Republican side are saying that they believe it's time for Joe Biden to get the daily briefing, especially on national intelligence. He needs to start getting up to speed on what it is that we are facing from a national security standpoint. We've all talked about how the 9/11 Commission talked about the delay in the daily briefings that the Bush administration got and how that could have contributed to things falling through the cracks for 9/11. We certainly don't want anything to happen in terms of that. And so I think that what Joe Biden is trying to do is, again, sort of calm the fears and the tensions. He's saying, look, everything's going to be okay. He's confident that he will be the next president of the United States. The transition will happen, whether or not Donald Trump wants it to or whether he concedes, and that he will start getting the daily briefings and everything else that he is entitled to in due time.
Yeah. Maria, to you, let me put this this way. Is an outgoing President Trump rallying in a state that he lost for Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue over the next 7 weeks good for Democrats, good for Jon Ossoff, good for Reverend Raphael Warnock?
I think that what that demonstrates is a president who is still clinging desperately to power as he sees it disappear. Now, whether it's good for the Donald Trump base, absolutely. Is it good for Democrats? I think it's something that Raphael Warnock and Jon Ossoff can use to demonstrate to their base and to the very energized Democrats and activists and independents who helped us take Georgia, that this is a president who is unfit to take office, who is incompetent, who in the face of a pandemic that has taken more than 240,000 American lives, the only thing that he cares about is his own political future. He cannot let go and look at reality. He does not want to focus on a transition and a peaceful transfer of power, which is the bedrock of democracy. I think they can use it to their advantage to show Georgians that this is not a president who is fit for office, and therefore, what does that say about the Senate candidates that he's supporting?
Alice, to you, are you convinced that the president will come to Georgia? I say come to Georgia because I'm in Atlanta. Come to Georgia to support these runoff races. Listen, we know that this president does things that are politically beneficial to and for himself. Even in 2018, those rallies in the midterms were about him. He'd invite the candidates to come on and say something, but he'd speak for 90 minutes at these rallies. He doesn't need a Senate majority. He doesn't need those votes for anything he has to pass. Are you expecting that he will campaign hard for these two candidates?
I do, Victor, and I'll say this. I'm from DeKalb County, born and raised right there, not far from where you are right now. And I can say that the Republicans in Georgia do support Donald Trump. And look, historically and traditionally in runoffs, Republicans do have a larger turnout than Democrats. So the focus is to energize these Republicans and get them out there to vote for these two Republican candidates. I think it's probably more beneficial to have people like Senator Tom Cotton or Rick Scott to go in there and remind Georgians this is a firewall for this country, because if the Democratic Senate candidates win, they are basically rolling out the red carpet for those far left policies that we talked about, Green New Deal, Medicare for all, and policies that are not in line with the majority of people in the state of Georgia. So the key is whether it is Donald Trump or whether it is Donald Trump Jr. or whomever, we need to motivate Republicans in Georgia to get out and vote, because containing control in the Senate is critical to making sure that Joe Biden and the progressives don't get their policies through.
I will point out two things: that the Green New Deal and Medicare for all are not policies of the president-elect, but
they are
Thank you,
policies of the
Victor.
progressives, and the progressives are pushing that very hard.
They're not the
they
ones
think
who
they
want the
have it their
president.
way.
Gotta wrap it there. Alice Stewart, Maria Cardona, always good to have you both.
Thanks,
Thank
Victor.
you, Victor.
And be sure to listen to their podcast, Hot Mics from Left to Right. Christi?
It is a good one. You do not want to miss it. All right.